Don.
And hi, I'm Cindy. Welcome to Pearls of Liberty, February 16th, 2013. And this has been kind of an exciting week in a few different ways, and we'll mention some of them. We want to begin by talking about what we consider probably the most important topic this week, and that is with the potential for change in the near future, that people endowed with resources will go out and stay in their old patterns of behavior even if things in the world change.
Yeah, there was a great article on blog Removing the Shackles, and here's what this blog says, and we agree that what's the powers that be are trying to prevent themselves from becoming the powers that were, and it looks like that their game plan is in effect based on some insider training that they're doing only amongst themselves between these currencies that haven't been revalued yet to the public, but behind the scenes there's some trading going on that's making the insiders very wealthy. And that's the game that has been played for centuries and centuries, and it will only change if a couple of things happen. And number one is for individuals to assume responsibility and use any new wealth that comes to our accounts by means of the things that are being talked about are like IRS refunds for everything you've ever been paid. All this stuff is really fantastic, and the potential is there for either of two things, and I'm sure it's going to be a mixture, but people can say, wow, look at all this, and go out and spend it and be like the typical lottery winner, and within a few years be right back where they were and even have their new stuff taken away. Or we can be responsible and take any new resources that happen in this global banking reset that we believe is imminent, and we could invest those resources into the future for a free humanity, investing in things that will give us a return on a powerful, individualized, powerful future, not empowering the current structure. So if you go out and buy a bunch of baubles and a bunch of stuff, you're going to enrich the slave masters and whatever countries those baubles and knickknacks and Nike shoes and whatever were manufactured. That's not going to help free humanity. What we have to do is really discipline where we spend whatever currency we have, and don't for a minute think that anybody that's claiming to now be a libertarian or now be a constitutionalist really is, because that's what these guys have always done. They've always positioned themselves to pose as the saviors, pose as the new heroes, even while they're ever advancing humanity into deeper enslavement. So this upcoming event has potential, but only if we the people educate ourselves and use it wisely. The famous Thomas Jefferson quote that if a people expect to be free and to be ignorant, they expect what never was and never will be. So it's really, really important that we who know what's going on and know the way the enslavement system works, spread that knowledge to friends and family, and by whatever means necessary. It's just really crucial in this hour. Use all the tools available at your disposal: YouTube, Facebook, print media, whatever you can, and help people to know what's really going on. Otherwise, we'll have Barack Obama, the new great savior and deliverer of the American democracy. So educate people about what a republic is supposed to be, etc., etc. The list goes on. Our work is really cut out for us.
Absolutely, and even if, one of the issues with as RTS said, buy, B-U-Y, is if we do that now, many things that, and Don alluded to this, but many things that we would be buying would be produced in other countries. And if we love America, we need to rebuild America's industry and America's agriculture. So instead of going out and buying something, maybe you can go out and buy stock in a company that produces that thing, or find some people online. There are great fundraising tools online. Be very wary, but there are a couple of different websites that connect those who want to invest with brilliant new ideas who need funding. So you can do something like that is going to encourage the restoration of agriculture and industry in this country. So much the better. And then eventually your investment will give you returns, and you'll have even more money, and then you can buy something that once the industry recovers to some extent, you buy something made in America, and we can begin to invest in ourselves again. And I don't mean that to be that Americans are better than other countries. We all need to clean up our own backyard. And we also need to clean up the rest of the world where we've dumped some of our garbage. But depending on what your vision is, what you understand, what you have a passion for, you can be moving in that direction. And for a lot of us, our passion is going to be America, because this is our land. This is our responsibility.
I guess I'm more globally minded than thinking that it's not necessarily about America for me. It's about helping the whole world get free. And America is the place where the best seeds of that have happened. And I do look to America's founders as being geniuses in understanding principles of liberty. But we should do what maybe we should have done earlier and been spreading those ideas around the world, instead of assuming that spreading a banking system and militarism was somehow spreading liberty. Nothing could be further from the truth. But education about liberty is, in my opinion, the highest priority that we can be about now, and that includes probably first and foremost financial liberty, and that means producing close to home those things that you need. Because the more self-sufficient you are, the less likely to be enslaved you are. And the whole British mercantile system was designed to enslave people that way, by not letting people do this or not letting people do that. In the Bible, you also have that same premise being used, that the Israelites, when they were under captivity, weren't allowed to have any sharpening tools or anything that could be used as a weapon. And right now the forces are trying to de-weaponize America. No, free people have the ability to use arms. And so, boy, if there are American gun manufacturers, that's a great place to invest, in my opinion. We've got to make sure that they haven't been bought out by global conglomerates that are just trying to buy people off. There's snakes behind everything. So some of these independent movements that are based in states like Tennessee and Montana, those are great ways to go. So, it's not about trying to start a fight. It's trying to arm yourselves so that you're not taken advantage of in the fight that it looks like the bullies are trying to bring about to further their enslavement game. And it's all a part of a big global picture of enslaving mankind. So we've got to help people see that, and then people will get creative about how to find ways to stand free and not cooperate with their own enslavement.
Yeah, bullies tend to go after the weak. So if you appear weak, you're a bully magnet. If you appear strong, not so much. We just kind of want to touch on signs and wonders, because there have been some this week. And when the Pope resigned, within a few hours, lightning had struck the dome of St. Peter's at the Vatican twice. I'm not sure how common lightning strikes are there. especially, the dome is high and all. It could be kind of like a lightning rod, but there's video online, and it's really quite dramatic. That is very clear that lightning specifically struck the Vatican. And of course, there was the explosion in Russia, which Don knows the name of what the term is, that it wasn't strictly speaking an asteroid, but the thing that fell was the size of a bus. So, and then there was also a dramatic meteor that was seen over San Francisco last night, the 15th of February. People were able to see it from Seattle to Big Sur, so that was pretty bright light in the sky. So Don will explain what the chunk was that fell in Russia that blew up.
It was like a baloid or something like that.
Pulveroid or...
I forget the name, but it's basically a ball of gas that had a differential expansion because of the way that it's shaped as it went through the atmosphere, and it exploded. So it's goodness gracious, great balls of fire is what it was. Goodness
gracious is right. So it has been kind of a dramatic week, geologically speaking. Well, more in the stars, but there have been a lot of earthquakes. There was I think an 8.0 in the Santa Cruz Islands, and Fiji has been having 5 and 6 point earthquakes, a few a day down in that region. So I can't help but wonder if God is speaking, and reminds me of just some words from the Lord that people have had, that God is prepared at this time to intervene dramatically, perhaps, in the affairs of men.
Yeah, I want to again say that in conjunction with that we can't have the attitude that God is going to rescue us. God acting should be encouragement for us to be bold about liberty, about being free, about casting off the chains that have enslaved mankind for so long, like a fraudulent banking system, etc. It should be encouragement for us to act, not license for us to sit back and say, wow, God's going to change everything. No, He wants to use you. He wants to use me. He wants to work within us as a people that are on a journey to our destiny of freedom and love for one another instead of enslavement and wars. So we're really at a pivotal time, and we need to seize that opportunity, or we'll go descend into the darkness.
And one idea that is far more trite than what we're talking about, and hopefully won't be an issue long term with some of these changes that we're hoping take place, but a world-renowned cellist's $20,000 bow was broken by the TSA because after they searched his bags, it was not properly replaced in its case, and the suitcase closed on it, and it was just broken in half. So if you're traveling and you have any valuables, you might want to keep them with you, even if it's a hassle getting them through the x-ray or whatever. Protect your things, because I'm sure he'll have an insurance claim and it'll be paid, but it's really not replaceable because it's been around for a while. It was made by a master. So, and of course the Pope resigned, which we already mentioned with the lightning on the dome, and there are a few different explanations as to why he may have resigned.
Yeah, keep in mind this does not happen. This is the first time a living pope has stepped down in 600 years. The popes are in office for life, and they don't do this. They don't step down unless there's some kind of a power play going on. And there is, I don't understand the details, but there is a lawsuit in common law against the Pope, and well, not just the Pope, the whole Roman Catholic system, and of course the Pope is the head of that. So this lawsuit is, as we understand it, going to continue even with a different Pope in charge. Here's the one thing, and again, this goes back to my whole thing about being responsible and not just thinking we've got a magic solution here. One of the things that could very well be in operation with this particular Pope and his removal is that it's by design. This particular Pope is easy to demonize, and he may very well have been put into office for just that purpose, so that the Catholic Church could have the appearance of cleaning up its act by having a scapegoat, putting all their dirty laundry on this guy and saying, there, look, it's all gone now. And anybody with half a brain knows that that's not true, that the criminals are running the Roman Catholic Church and it's a worldwide mafia. Just watch the third Godfather film, and where the character that is Michael Corleone, his eyes are opened about who the real mafia is, and he knows he's a small-time petty criminal compared to these guys. That's the world we live in, and that's not going to change with the removal of a single pope. And so expect lip service of truth and justice and beautiful truths by whoever is put in place next. And it's similar to, I see it as being, as how Obama replaced Bush, and how he is this wonderful orator and is able to express these lofty ideas, and there are still people, mostly on the left, that think that he's wonderful. And anybody that looks into the actual details of what's going on quickly realizes that he's just advancing the same enslavement system at a faster pace than the previous guy did, because he's got this great cover. So this is the illusionist trick operating at the levels of the Vatican, the highest structure in terms of the banking system from what we could tell, etc. So we want to celebrate the apparent victory, but keep your eyes open, because this has probably been a planned thing. That, again, Ratzinger, the Pope who is stepping down, was known amongst the cardinals as something like Rat Boy, I think it was. It's a play on his name, and that's what he was known as. So I suspect that's why he was put there, so he would be easily demonized in order to say, look, we cleaned up our shop. So again, look beneath the surface. There's a lot going on here, and expect the magician's tricks, and you'll be able to see through them.
And the cabal has really become expert at diversionary tactics, at causing people to look where it's convenient for the cabal for people to look. And we really need to rediscipline or retrain ourselves to really keep our eye on the ball, and not the shell game, to not be fooled. And another issue in a time of transition, if people are demanding revenge, people are angry, whatever, the pendulum swing can occur that just leads to another form of tyranny. And there are a lot of stories about that, but it also happens in real life. But in the Hunger Games book trilogy, the leader that is being raised up to overthrow the tyrannical government is herself a tyrant and really has plans to pretty much have the same sort of government with maybe a little more freedom, maybe a little more justice, but still being ruled with an iron hand and still depending heavily on death as a scourge to keep people in line and fear. So that does tend to happen, and it happens more. We're more susceptible to it if we are angry and seeking revenge. If we just want justice and restoration, we'll be less susceptible to that.
And again, if people are educated, they won't be able to be as susceptible because they'll be able to see through it. Another example I like of a film that's virtually unknown but stars Donald Sutherland and is made relatively recently, within the last 10 years or so, is Land of the Blind, where you've got this guy that's a great freedom fighter, and then the power shifts and he's in charge and he becomes as much of a tyrant, if not more, than the guy before him. So this is the pattern of history. So the path to walk is the path of peace, and that is one that you walk with your eyes open, because you don't just willingly lay down your weapon so you can be abused, because that weapon is for self-defense and to discourage the bullies from abusing you. But you've got to walk into that arena of knowing who your enemies are, knowing what the pattern of history has been, in order to avoid falling into that trap again. That's what we've got to do collectively as a people during this awakening.
Since we're talking about film, we also wanted to mention a new series produced by Netflix, which is called House of Cards, and it's excellent. It is entertaining and educational and well worth watching, in our opinion.
Yeah, actually, we've watched a couple of good ones that were Swedish. So they were about, there was the girl with the dragon tattoo, and then there's Annika Bengtsson, and she's a reporter that is really in pursuit of the truth and in the midst of a bunch of corruption in many different scenarios. And so this series is kind of along those lines, but it's America and it's Hollywood and it's a top flight production. Mike Adams, who reviewed the series and read his blog, he said he thinks they probably spent $50 million producing this. And again, it's a top flight cast with, actually Kevin Spacey is not only the lead actor, he's an executive producer on it. And what this series does, and I'd say we're about maybe 6 into the series, so I suppose about half done or something, but it exposes corruption in Washington like nothing I've seen before, because it shows you the inner workings of a sociopathic mind. I wouldn't say that he's a psychopath, but he doesn't so much delight in evil as he does use people to gain power. And he's all about breaking people down or shifting them into his paradigm where he's the one that's wielding the power behind the scenes. Sometimes even those I guess he's a minority whip in the House or something. So there's Democrats and Republicans. He happens to be a Democrat, a Southern Democrat. And but you easily see that it's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about how the power game is played, and everybody is very involved in this power game. And you get to see how things work behind the scenes, including the charities that his wife runs, etc. So yeah, we really like it. It doesn't go all the way to exposing some of the deepest truths, but I think it's a first layer view at. So it definitely peels back that first layer and lets you see the way politicians really are. It's easy for people to say politicians are crooked, yeah, but you've got to understand how they're crooked, or you'll keep getting taken in by them. And this is a part of that knowledge. And so we're really thankful for the funding and Kevin Spacey and all that's being done there. And there's a lot of other good stuff on Netflix. So get away from commercial television. It doesn't cost that much, and it's well worth watching.
Thank you for joining us this week, and we hope that you have a great week coming up. And if you hear whistling and see a bright light in the sky, duck and cover.
See the world the way that it really is. See yourself in it. Walk your walk. You are the one you've been waiting for.